Hello everyone, and bienvenidos a Barcelona. We're here at Mobile World Congress. My name's Savannah Peterson. Delighted to be joining you from theCUBE studios here in Spain with Dave Vellante. Dave, it's great to be back in Barcelona with you.
Right.
I'm so excited for this
it's good to be here with you, Savannah. Thanks for making the time.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. And speaking of someone else, super exciting, Sri, CUBE OG. You've been around the community a lot, you've been on the show a lot, but this is our first time getting to hang out. Thank you for kicking off the show with us.
Thank you for having us. H2O.ai is breaking the barriers in Agentic AI, and we'd love to talk about it. A lot of our customers on the floor, Mobile World Congress, all the telcos. We saved a couple of $1 billion last year to a few of them, and made money for some of them. So love to talk some of that stories. This is the age of sovereign AI. Open source has triumphed over OpenAI. So a lot of really great trends. We'd love to talk about them and see how we can bring our audience some fresh stuff from Barcelona.
And there's a lot of noise too out there, so help us understand what you mean by agents, agentic AI. What is it to you, Sri?
The simplest way to put it, right, so if we used to have LLMs be grounded in facts that they've learned. But that's all they could do. The more facts you want to cram in them, the more parameters you burn, the more GPUs you burn. But then comes along agentic AI, where LLMs become an orchestration agent, and it's actually trying to call out code and do actions in the world to ground their truth. So, as all of us know, LLMs are really good at coding, like especially Claude Sonnet or GPT-4o. So, generating good code, executing that code, generating good ways to call out, do web search, Wikipedia search, to then pull out data from outside world and check them back with self-checking code, allows you to kind of now build a software system that responds very well to kind of typical high-level questions. Now data science, which is the other aspect of the big revolution in AI, code and science, we have automated a lot of the data science work. So now predictive AI, which historically was a preamble to the Gen AI world, can now integrate very rightly as a simple agent. What does that mean for a typical telco or a banking? A telco could be having a call center software stack, which is responding to customer experience. An agent that now simplifies all of that into a domain-specific sequence of workflows, one of which classifies the call. The further down the stream, you can have someone respond. It makes a call out, right? Sort of, now you're essentially translating, using LLMs for what they're good at. Good at English, good at deconstructing what is needed in a domain-specific context, but code becomes the superpower that makes agents really succeed. So typical stuff that would historically take a lot of engineers to build, a lot of researchers to help answer a question, they all get condensed into a very nicely balanced agentic system.
And the other thing, Savannah, is that's what you're describing, Sri, is going from a linear sort of step-by-step value chain to one that's maybe more organic.
I see it as like a Z-axis. You know, you think of kind of like a linear.
Dimension.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I when I visualize it, I'm a bit of a 3D person in general, but I visualize it as this next layer of complexity that we're able to add to our toolkit. Sri, you said something really striking to me when we were getting ready for this segment, and I love that you named your company H2O.ai because of the ubiquitous nature of water. You want AI to be ubiquitous as well. Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you see the work that you're doing being this wonderful, nourishing, ubiquitous tool for people?
Yeah, I think open source is one of the best ways to build community. So we chose open source.
Without question.
From day one, right, sort of 2012, AI, we were one of the first .ai domains. And we chose open when TensorFlow and PyTorch were closed back then, right? So, so that spurred the whole grassroots movement in AI. World-class, great code, highly accurate systems that match the best in proprietary software and LLMs are now available. And are now available and brought ubiquity to our space. So anytime you have high concentration of either tokens or high concentration of models, high concentration of technology on one corner of the planet, open source democratizes that across the whole planet across different regions, and we saw that with DeepSeek, which essentially disrupted that. Our customers like the fact that they can take our software stack, make it theirs, and then become AI superpowers themselves. Right, so if we want multipolar, maximal AI ownership globally, the way that happens is through democratization with open source. And H2O has been at the front runner of that. We have 20,000 data scientists using our product 20,000 organizations using our product every day, 2 million.
20,000?
Yeah, and 2 million data scientists depend on us every day.
That's got to be a really significant portion of the data scientists out there.
Pretty much everyone who has done, has fought fraud or built a pricing model. We helped a very large beverage company pick up 6% margin in a city with 1 year of good data science and Gen AI.
That's really dramatic when it comes to ROI on AI.
Thousands of models in production at Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and in telcos like AT&T, they saved about $2.5 billion in using AI, both fighting fraud or also making their customers' experience better. So Singtel, which is another very strong partner for us, we announced a couple of months ago them rolling out their own AI as a service for their data center business and transform themselves into an AI company. And the way they do that is actually go help other customers, other countries build sovereign AI and rolling out this localized clusters and almost compete, go up the stack from the low margin business to a higher margin AI business.
So everybody talks about how, every company is a software company. We've been saying that for the last 10 years. Now you're talking about transformation to an AI company, and of course there's a lot of software involved. So my question to you, Sri, is how is enterprise software going to change as a result of this agentic future? What does the future of enterprise software look like?
It's a great question. And CIOs we are working with are beginning to grasp that question. First of all, I kind of gave a preamble, right? AI is writing code better than fresh software engineers we can churn out of our colleges.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean students should stop learning coding, but they should be using agentic AI to build code, but stitch code. Now, let's say we build code, you need to test code. So now, giving an RFP, with an RFP, you can automatically generate test code. And the test code is more relentless because an AI program is trying to break the program it wrote, right? So now you're building adversarial testing, auto prompting, and trying to break your own system. So that's test code. Then comes InfoSec, productionization, Helm charts, DevOps, DevSecOps, all these spheres of layers that we need to do to build good code that goes to production needs integrative work. Some of that's human. It's going to be continually led by senior developers, senior architects of large systems, except now with a small team, you can build a whole city, not just a small home, not just a window, right? And so,
great analogy.
Going from the window to building a whole city means you can transform businesses lock, stock, and barrel with AI. AI first banks, AI first telcos, AI first retailers are going to be the forefront of the million billionaires that will be coming out of AI industry. All industries will become AI first, and when we talk about the 100 trillion GDP addition with AI, that's going to be on the shoulders of these AI first digital entrepreneurs. We're going to want to, who have a pet peeve, a scratch to itch, that they want to go and change the planet with it. Those people will have a superpower by their side, which allows them to build companies more safely, more scalably, and you will have trillion-dollar companies that are much smaller than the trillion-dollar companies today.
So I want to ask you, I showed you the piece that we just wrote, the Nadella versus Benioff, little war of the words that is going on. Nadella basically says that in the future, you're going to have agents talking to CRUD databases, right? And that's it, the back end SaaS doesn't matter anymore. Benioff, of course, started the whole war saying, Microsoft's just Clippy, right? There's some truth in what both say. In other words, Nadella's right that you're going to need agents as an abstraction layer that speak human language. Benioff is correct in the sense that you need data that's harmonized, and you need, to your point about security and governance, and that is complicated. You have to do the hard work to do that. So there's a little bit of truth in both sides. How do you see it, and where does H2O.ai add value in that agentic future?
So customers are rebuilding workflows,
Yes.
right? The biggest thing,
Everyone is, yeah.
you're asking questions out of your systems, trying to get the answers.
And they're not static workflows.
They're no longer static.
They're not, hard-coded in procedural code.
No.
And microservices.
And the
They're-
knowledge graph,
They're
I mean-
fungible and flexible. Please,
That's right.
carry on, yeah.
The UI for AI is a prompt, right?
Yeah.
And so prompts became a best way to converse with your customers, and they can demand more, they can ask for workflows that you have not designed when you started building the app. So the traditional app, which was, we do think that AI has eaten hardware, as we saw with Intel and NVIDIA. AI has eaten the cloud. Today we choose a cloud because of good AI. AI is now eating SaaS, right? And how is AI eating SaaS? AI is transforming workflows as we know them. And then you're building code in ways that makes it so much more modern, so much more today's world. Now it's not perfect. You still need to debug this code. AI introduces, as of today, subtle bugs in your code. So it's not like, it's the end of, not the end of software engineers, but it's the beginning of the end of throwing people at the problem. Because now you can spin up 10 software agents that generate good software code, generate code of reasonably high quality, and then instead of 10 engineers outsourced somewhere or like within the talent grab that's happening and the lack of talent that we are producing at the rate at which we need. Then comes actually rolling this out to customers, and if you have a good static audience, you still have a gameplay, but really your app has been already dethroned, right? It's that your app is no longer, the clicks that you used to bank on are not necessarily going to come back. It's going to be conversations with your AI agents and automatic orchestration to the right back-end application that you built with good APIs. And what used to be search engine optimized websites become agent optimized APIs.
Literally something we're talking about a lot as a media company is that discoverability.
Totally.
I mean, it's been a conversation we've been having internally.
I have so many questions about what you just said.
I know, same.
Because you got to have back-end connectors to
Good
legacy
data.
SaaS.
Good data.
And I don't want to move the data. I want to keep it where it is. So maybe that's some kind of, maybe it's materialized views or data virtualization. Okay, so I have to have those back-end connections through APIs. That's where Nadella kind of contradicts himself. He's saying, no, it's just agents talking to CRUD databases. Well, no, actually you need APIs to, anyway, he even says that.
Yeah.
You got to have a way to harmonize the data so that.
By the way, agents to do data quality, agents to harmonize the data, the whole data prep was to take 80% of my time, agents can help there.
Agents
AI
can help.
there.
Okay.
You won't take it away, but
Good-
it reduces
good
the problem.
differentiation.
Keep going.
But can agents in and of themselves do that? There's got to be, I would think, some kind of layer to make sure that, today we sit around in the meeting, we argue, well, is that revenue or is that bookings? Is that quarterly or is that annual? Is that ARR or NRR? Right, and so, and humans interpret that and they argue and they spend 15, 20 minutes in a meeting debating it. So there's got to be a layer
But you could watch
that solves that.
a large private equity firm, for example, one of our customers.
Right, okay.
You can watch how they are decrypting all their portfolio presentations coming with different names, NDRR versus NRR, ARR versus revenue, and watch what they've done, how they are categorizing that after,
Yeah.
and then mimic that.
Learn from that.
Mimic that.
That was my next question. The agents have to be able to read, essentially ingest the reasoning traces of humans and learn from that. They also have to
clean up our mess.
Right, we got a real mess.
Yeah.
They also have to be able to understand top-down goals. I want to grow revenue, but I need X% of operating profit, and so my pricing has to be within some boundary.
Yep.
Those are obviously very complicated
And then
things.
the world is changing around us.
Right.
Competition, you mentioned noise earlier, there's so much noise in our space that everybody thinks that like
So much
2030 is already in 2025.
You're right.
Not true.
So
right?
this is my question. So, and by the way, that has to be secured and governed with an agent control framework. So my question is, this is a journey. This is not 2030 is not going to get pulled into 2025 that quickly. It's going to take the better part of a decade to play out. Do you agree with that? And what does that journey look like?
For a lot of our customers, right, they're the ones who are already very advanced, have deployed AI across thousands of machine learning use cases, now rolled out Gen AI, are seeing even more adoption. It's pull versus push across the business units. All business units, they're inspired to do Gen AI and roll out conversational use cases. We're in HR, like back office or front office, acquiring customers, call center, to even agents in sales stations. Like some of the telcos have rolled out in-store assistants. You can go in there with your telephone bill and say, why is this data plan not working for me? And combination of agentic AI and predictive AI, trying to precisely save a customer from churning, but also pricing the right thing for him dynamically. All of that's coming together with real simple agentic AI connected to the back-end systems. Now, if you go back to the SaaS planet, you may not have that particular workflow. So then immediately the human gets involved, makes a call to the headquarters, there's a high net worth agent, how do we, high net worth customer, how do we make an exception? And these exceptions, which is the reasoning traces, those are the ones that we want to feed back to the LLM, train again, make it even perfect. We're doing that precisely for our agentic AI accuracy improvement. In addition to debunking hallucinations early in a chain of thought, we are essentially improving the LLM backend by adding reasoning traces from R1 and learning from those traces and improving agentic AI's robustness, right? So eventually, the more robust the backend AI systems are, the more likely they're going to behave as close to human-like in their performance. And then the one good thing that computing has always had is they're relentless. They're continuously getting better.
They don't get tired.
Don't get tired. There's trial, error, and reward model, the reasoning models. That's the beginning change in the whole, like large LLMs versus small language models that are purpose-built trained, distilling large models to help the small models. We help a lot of our customers with that, using our enterprise LLM Studio. We help a lot of customers with our agentic AI and RAG systems, and then fine-tune their reasoning on the particular domain. Domain-specific agents are going to replace the SaaS applications of today.
You know, Eric Brynjolfsson, he was a professor at MIT, I think he's now at Stanford, he had a great chart. It was a simple, X, Y. The vertical axis was productivity gained, and the horizontal axis was potential for automation. And he had a slice that was commercial off-the-shelf software, and then it was a pretty small slice, actually. Then he had another slice which was customized software. And then this whole big opportunity for automation. And that's where Agentic comes in.
100%.
Yeah,
and I think what we'll see a marketplace of agents, right? We have built our own 25 agents that are good at the generic stuff. Code, testing code, science, data science, driverless AI, which is our marquee software. We made that an agent right now. Then we built things like web search, web browser, driving your web browser to behave like a human trying to do a search, which is a popular demo, obviously. Then we built the world's best Wikipedia agent, which essentially looks at the chunks of that were buried along the way as well. Okay. So you can pick up visual, translating audio to transcription, but also language translations, and audio to audio, all of this stuff that typically you would have to call out different .ai superpowers to integrate. We brought them all as agents. Now in the hands of a telco, that can then go to the next level. Where to roll out 5G, how to pull up my tower with the least amount of supply chain problems. If I had to time box it or price box it, how do I design my newest system? All of those things become very, very domain specific and company specific. And
I think that's actually, I want to dig in on that just for a second, not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you, because you're working across so many different verticals, so many different things. Obviously you mentioned finance. I'm curious if you could, because you really do get to see the whole lay of the land with the amount of companies you touch, if you could wave a magic wand here in Barcelona, and all of a sudden everyone understood something about Agentic that you're teaching them independently, what would that be?
Great question.
Thank you.
When you ask a very simple question, right? Now, of course, ChatGPT and Claude have caught up on this. Is 3.9 greater than 3.111? Typical LLMs will say 9 is less than 111, right?
Yeah.
And hence 3.9 is
Right.
less than 3.111. Now an agent with the same query, and we did this live the other day, and typically I run a live demo. An agent, on the other hand, will produce Python code to compare two numbers, specifically 3.9 and 3.11. And this Python code, 5-6 lines of code, we all know code eventually triumphs, that basically it produces impeccable result. Not trying to predict what you're expecting to hear. That's what LLMs are good at. Printing the token that you're expecting to hear. How many R's in strawberry with R misspelled? You put in 5 R's, suddenly it starts hallucinating and give you an answer 3 R's or 4 R's.
Yeah.
But actually, when you put it into an agentic system, it produces the actual function, a Python small snippet of code that actually counts the number of R's in strawberry, right? So when I do this, I try to explain to my middle schooler what is Agentic AI, and this is how I started demoing it to her. And she immediately like, oh, I got it. It writes code and makes sure the code is correct, and then runs the code, boom, right? It changes how we think of LLM. LLM suddenly now becomes a gateway, not the resource of knowledge.
Yes. And adaptable, it can evolve and mature.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's organic. It's an organic system.
Yeah. It's living rather than
And you can
static.
plug in.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a Lego box now, right?
Yeah.
So yes,
So
Lego
across-
blocks that are malleable. They're not fixed code, right? And they learn over time. Okay.
And
I-
guess what we're building next?
Well, let's go
It's a
future.
pre-release, and our marketing team will be super excited. We are using agents to design agents. The agents
okay.
to write agents. AI can
That's how
write
meta
AI
it's going to
code
get.
better.
Yeah.
And most agents talk to each other, not in English, in some variation of English. And if we can get the traces of agents talking to each other, we created a different internet of tokens.
Okay.
Those tokens will start feeding a whole new form of intelligence.
Some kind of agent parlance that's very high speed, right? And a protocol that is no human could probably
Because
follow.
we ran out of tokens. I mean, at the end of the day, 4.5 4.5 is less than 4.0 in GPT speak.
So help us. I want to go.
Great analogy.
I want to go rapid fire here. We're running out of time.
I was going to say, we better be rapid about it.
But there's some debates in our community have been going on. We're now 3 years in, 3+ years in to the GPT heard around the world, the AI heard around the world. When it first came out, we had this debate, John, myself, Sarbjeet, whether or not OpenAI would be able to maintain its first mover advantage. What do you think?
Open source AI beat OpenAI.
No, okay,
Right.
so no.
Oh.
So you say no. They
Clearly,
won't be
unless
able-
they open source
And that was
themselves.
our argument.
Yep.
But when you look at the benchmarks, they've been able to still be the pioneer, which is interesting.
I mean, 400 million daily users is nothing to laugh at.
Right,
Yeah.
well, right, they're
Yeah.
still. I was on the side which said open source, Google will catch up, et cetera. John Furrier said no, they'll maintain it. So we'll see. It's still an open question. Now, the other question I have is, we debate, is will LLMs become commoditized? Most of the VCs we talk to say, absolutely, we've seen this movie before. I said I agree. John Furrier said, nah, I don't think so. As long as there's innovation, it won't be commoditized. What say you?
They're already a commodity, right?
All right. Oh,
They're the web server of AI.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. DeepSeek, the reaction to DeepSeek. You saw NVIDIA's stock dropped, I don't know, whatever, it was 18% that day. Overreaction, is NVIDIA in trouble because it costs less to build AI, or is that a good thing for NVIDIA and other?
I think
infrastructure
the
companies?
dollars from training to inference have to show up, right? I think the biggest challenge with everything we're looking at there is the top 10 customers are all the customers everybody else is talking about, whether for Dell, whether for Broadcom, whether for NVIDIA, right? So the big, giant gas guzzlers doing, and we never
Gas
optimize.
guzzlers.
We never optimize the layers below, right? Well, it's GPU guzzlers. And
No, call them gas
Yeah.
guzzlers. It's great because I mean that's sustainability, that's
also-
power, that's a whole
So
different
what we need is a
issue.
department of GPU efficiency.
Yes.
Doge, right?
Yeah.
we need Doge for AI.
For AI.
You're right.
And that's what DeepSeek did. They essentially gave us a much smaller cost footprint, but also a better ways. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, but systems engineers have become far and few between, and a lot of Python engineers have never gone down the layer to actually optimize. I mean, they released a parallel file system last week, which allows you to access this data from SSDs better.
And that's a good
All of
thing, but that's a good thing
It's
for
about
AI,
great
right?
things.
Yeah.
That
Now-
Jevons law, Satya, you agree with Satya, Jevons?
I think the
Jevons law.
longest part here, right, is
Yes.
where
I
the part
agree
I
too.
do agree with is the physical AI. The real way to monetize AI is through the hardware's ecosystem, or through devices, or through drones, or through robots. That's 2 years away, and 2030 coming to 2025 includes physical AI. And that's when ubiquity, you talked about H2O,
The edge devices that bring it
edge
to the
becomes
yes.
smarter and
Yes,
intelligent.
yes.
When intelligence becomes ubiquitous, agency becomes more valuable. Courage is still a very hard, like it's a scarce resource. Time is a non-renewable resource, but courage is a scarce resource. Innovation and intelligence have been democratized globally. But NVIDIA is a founder-run company. You can never bet against a founder-led company.
Dell, Oracle.
Yeah,
there's
no,
something.
exactly.
So that says, but what you're just saying about edge, that says AI is coming to the data.
Yes.
Now, because of our,
It absolutely
you know,
will.
we've been spending a lot of time.
And into our real life.
Yes, well that's how people are going to interact with it. We're going to go beyond the browser.
You're going to put out,
My whole
the way we put out a wildfire, we are from California, we were
Yeah.
impacted by it. We predicted it. State Farm was one of our customers, so we could predict
Who was one of your customers?
State Farm.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we could predict very well wildfires, bushfires in Australia, globally, but and also Asheville hurricane with data ahead of time. But we couldn't react to it fast enough because our traditional policies and processes are not able to keep up with a predictive world where the world can be well predicted, but you need to react fast
we have
enough.
to trust it. We have to then do our
You have
part.
to trust, first of all.
Yeah.
The Asheville getting flooded, we didn't even trust it. But the LA fires was well predictable.
Oh, it
And
kind of breaks
so
my heart.
being able to go there and save the homes is going to be left to AI and drones and a lot more physical AI. Because we're not what was used to put off one building fire cannot help with the whole city on fire. And these things of magnitude are coming time and again. So while AI is out here to help change the planet, the problems of the planet are growing faster than the solutions I'm able to come up with.
And that's a big theme here at MWC, but I wanted to ask you, so that's clear, we both agree, that edge piece. We've been spending a lot of time in New York with our NYSE studios, and we're spending a lot of time with big banks and insurance companies and life sciences companies. They're all building their own on-prem AI centers of excellence because they have data that has data gravity. The cloud is too expensive, they tell us. So do you see on-prem AI, but here's the problem. They don't have the skill sets, they don't have the stack, right?
H2O is a stack.
Okay,
for on-prem,
so will that happen on-prem?
We're
I
doing the
was just
Dell
going to
AI
say you're
factory.
the factory. Yeah.
Okay,
Dell-
so
Sovereign AI.
but the Dell AI
is the
factory is
future.
just a bunch of hardware.
No, we
Right,
have
so-
H2O software on it.
Okay.
NVIDIA and H2O software. Our customers have
ecosystem.
rolled out clusters. Our single largest customer growth is happening in public sector globally, where sovereign AI has become the #1 theme for them. All telcos need their own AI, their own clusters, where they can consume.
When does that happen?
It's happening.
No,
already.
it's not. It's very small today. You can't see it in the numbers yet. Will we see it in 2025? Like if you look at Dell's numbers, all their AI servers are going to X and Neo clouds. They're not going to banks and insurance companies yet. Will that happen in 2025?
I think governments are becoming, the geopolitical order has changed, and we're beginning to,
Understatement.
right?
Yeah.
And so we cannot trust on any single geolocation to have all of the AI's brains.
So
and
that's your sovereign
output.
AI.
Sovereign AI is absolutely happening.
Yeah.
On banks, right, sort of they have a small portion of their business which they can never send to the cloud.
Right.
And that portion we are supporting and helping them with their protected data.
And they don't need 100,000 GPU
It's
clusters.
smaller,
Yeah,
it's much
right.
smaller. And now CTOs, modern CTOs love to go to cloud so they can quickly build apps. Right, so this throwback back onto the data center is a little hard for them. But
yeah, they got to retool for water cooled. They have to, right, that's infrastructure. That's a CapEx expenditure.
So one is CapEx, but more importantly, actually, we found that one GPU on-prem is about 3 times cheaper than a GPU on the cloud. Because GPUs are actually very
That's why they want to build their on-prem centers of excellence.
Cheaper.
And I mean, Dell's data on this is 75% of executives are saying they're going to be building all of this on-prem. It's a big part of why they've done what they've done with the factory.
You're saying you're the stack.
We have the stack. I mean, we built it when PyTorch and TensorFlow were not around. So we had to build them from ground up. But what we're seeing, though, is that rolling this out will need that kind of same level of smarts, right, at the customer level, but the agents can help. Agents can absolutely help reduce the intelligence needed to build an app.
So that's happening in 2025, it's starting to, but will we see meaningful revenue in 2025 for on-prem AI?
Absolutely,
right.
Because the hyperscalers are also innovating like crazy, right, bringing their own chips, bringing their own stuff, and I think it is in the interest of NVIDIA and others to actually get the on-prem AI to start working. Because sovereign AI means that everyone can actually own their own AI. We will also see personal LLMs. We released H2O app, which allows everyone to own their own LLMs and fine-tune them on their own device. So they don't have to ever leave. Your prompts may never leave your cell phone. And so you're able to run with agents that will protect you against ads coming from different places, against algorithms that have gone berserk, right? Sort of in our lives, slicing away our attention, agents actually popping up and saying, hey, you've been scrolling too much on this particular topic. Maybe you need to come back to doing what you would like to do, right? So agents
a
to
gentle
protect
re-guide,
gentle re-navigate your attention. What algorithms have already taken over the planet, right? They have sliced away human attention. Attention is all you need, and now we have sliced that away. So we need agents to protect AI to protect us against AI.
Yes.
Personally, individually. And so at some point, we'll have this one-person billion-dollar companies, right? And I call it in 2020, and when Sam said that, it became bigger universal piece. I actually met the first or second one-person billion-dollar company already, because they are able to build a billion AUM.
We got to have them on the
reducing,
show. I want to know who that is.
Reducing the number of people, completely automating and using agents.
No, it's magical. I mean, that's the stuff when people use the term democratization and they kind of abuse it sometimes. That's actually where it gets really interesting. It's doing more with less, smaller teams.
If anything, right, sort of the last, and you've interviewed so many great people on your show, we need more billionaires on this planet, right? We need 1 million billionaires. And the way to do that, we need more women billionaires.
You just triggered Savannah.
By the way, we also need more women billionaires because health equity. We talk about women equity, right?
I'm on it, guys, I'm on it.
Exactly. Health equity is only going to get better if we actually have people with high net worth pushing for them. And AI is the source of generating that kind of generational wealth.
Exactly.
Well, for $5 million, they can become Americans. Yes, I saw that one.
You saw me, just the things in my head in that moment.
All right, last question.
We all like generative AI, but we need generational wealth AI, right?
Well, that's true, especially if we're going to live forever, right?
Human longevity.
Right? Ray Kurzweil says if you live till 2050, you're never going to new I'm like, oh my God.
I learned a new
universal basic income. My last question, and Wall Street
I learned a new thing recently, by the way, from a reputable researcher, that 1 year delay in menopause for women can extend their life by 10 years.
You're speaking my language.
Because of ovarian health.
Because it takes a lot out of you, I mean, no doubt. Last question, more
Being
technical.
a woman takes a lot out of you.
A Wall Street analyst came out recently and said that generative AI is going to dilute the need for cloud. It's going to reduce the need for infrastructure, kind of along the lines of DeepSeek. And I was like, I don't see it that way.
I don't know that I agree with
think the cloud is going to keep, I think cloud growth, which is the big four, if you include Alibaba, is probably 240 billion this year, growing at almost 20%. I actually think it could accelerate. What do you think?
There's so many waves that we have seen over the last 20 years,
sure.
right? Big data, cloud, right? Sort of crypto.
Internet.
Crypto's coming back, some of them coming back again. I think the way I look at it, AI is a human kind of craving, longing for something very intelligent that will take away a lot of the stuff that we don't want to do, that will also show us the way of things we should be thinking and doing. So I think that AI wave is a long-term trend. It's a massive long-term trend. Like 100 years from now, there'll still be search for better AI and more smarter AI, more human AI, if you will, right? And more kind of universal thinking AI. And so that AI desire, AI, cloud, GPUs, technology, social networks, how do you bring data, intelligence onto tokens, more tokens, all of that's feeding that human desire to actually make better things, make the world better with intelligence. We use black and yellow, like yellow as light, otherwise it's all darkness, right? So the intelligence is light. And that striving is long-term. So AI is a very long-term trend. Cloud is one of the many operating systems we will have, right? Just like the Unix wars
100%.
of the 90s, and we don't talk about the big iron and Unix wars anymore. We don't talk about the Sun microsystems that power the first internet, right? All of that stuff, right? That's all means to actual making things ubiquitous, services more, work for the citizens, for humans, and being able to react to disasters and stress much more fluidly, much more robustly. All of that stuff needs to happen. And we haven't built a great supply chain, right? So through COVID, we saw the whole world came to its knees because we didn't have a very good supply chain. Many of us spent $40 to get a mask, right? So once we start solving problems like global supply chain, we'll stop going to war for minerals and materials. We'll start doing things that are better, right? I think that just-in-time supply chain will break down a lot of these current ways of thinking about the planet. And the physical AI, which we're really bullish on, will bring the internet onto the table. The cloud we're talking about, the internet of devices, is that IoT is kind of going to create a new kind of cloud, which is smart.
Yeah.
And allows us to be more human, right? Once you take away digital and intelligence out of something, you now look for talking to somebody because you have a great feeling.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were, spiritual machines. We've been turned into the machine part, taking of the spirit. I think now we can take on bigger problems because as a whole, the human race has a lot of problems. And we are a small nudge, we're pretty much the entire system is on the knees, right? So how do you build better, robust systems that can take us away from this bottlenecks?
You're such an awesome guest. I love
I know,
having you on
I'm like,
interview.
I already have
I
more
could go
questions.
into supply chain, but
All
I
right,
won't.
I know, same. I mean, I was going to talk about like, the human supply chain and how we have to adapt to this, and I mean, when we put AI to work for us, it might give us more time for us, which is essentially what you're saying, which is pretty magical. All right, I have to ask you this question because it's my favorite closing question, and then I promise we will wrap this segment. Everyone, thank you for being patient. So when we're at Mobile World Congress together next year, what do you hope to be able to say then that you can't yet say today?
I think a few of our customers are beginning to become AI companies themselves. In other words, they're trying to take on the asset-light AI segment, build their own applications, and roll them out, make revenue share with either us or with other partners like EY and other like SIs, right? Sort of trying to produce meaningful revenue from AI for our customers, where they start now thinking that their data, their customers, their communities are benefiting from AI that they build, whether it's a bank or some of the telcos here, they all have that ambition to be asset light because they have data. They are building the fabric. The most difficult part of building the connectivity is the fabric. High capital and low margin business. The more they can come to the high margin business, which is low capital and very repeatable, very reproducible, and meaningful to their customer traction, meaningful to their customer experience, and powering those digital experiences with AI, not just with 5G, right? Sort of where AI is beat 5G, we see that in the floor today, and AI may be better than the next 7Gs that are going to come, right? That means that
Agree
all
with
the
that.
telcos, the Mobile World Congress becomes AI first. We have at least 3 to 5 AI companies masquerading as telco companies, right? From telco to techco or telco to AI co. That will be the big transformation. And I think we'll probably have a couple of examples. Hopefully I can bring a couple of them onto your studio
Absolutely.
and ask them, how did that happen? Right? Sort of, it's hard. It's hard to change from a, but we've seen caterpillars transform to butterflies.
Growth is hard, but it's always worth it in the end. Yes. Sri, you have been an absolutely outstanding guest. I have to say, you have now set the bar this high for everyone else who comes and sits at this news desk today,
kind of you.
this week. No, I don't say things faintly. All of these humans will tell you
I
that.
have to say, I have a great team behind me. We have the highest AI talent density on the planet.
Love that.
And Europe is one of our places for building talent. Europe has great schools, produce amazing PhDs. But what we found was, along the lines of good musical cities like Prague, Budapest, Vienna, has great AI talent. So we've come here a decade ago, built grassroots community here, and some of our greatest talent in AI, the Kaggle Grandmasters, are in Europe, some in US as well. And our first model we rolled out that we built from soup to nuts is called Danube, out of the big river, H2O Danube.
Yeah.
And so it's great to be back in Barcelona. Hopefully next year we'll talk about success of H2O.ai.
We look forward to it and
Thanks,
look forward to
Sri.
having that
Great to see
customer
you again.
story. Thank you so much. And
Thanks
thank
for
all
having
of you for tuning in to this absolutely power-packed segment. We're here in Barcelona, Spain. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.